15 billion miles from home, in a region so empty that even starlight grows thin, a small, aging machine drifted through the dark. Voyager 1, humanity's most distant scout, moved through a place that almost no particle crosses, a realm where time itself seems to stretch and hold its breath. For nearly half a century, the spacecraft served one purpose: to speak, not to listen. It carried no audio sensors, no microphones, no instruments designed for awareness, only the ability to send back faint, fading whispers from the edge of the sun's domain. For decades, it obeyed flawlessly. Data flowed in steady trickles, measurements of a cosmos growing colder, lonelier, quieter with every drifting mile. And then, something happened that should have been impossible. The first shift without a command from Earth and without any recorded use of its thrusters, Voyager 1 began to rotate. Slowly. Precisely. Deliberately. But not toward Earth. Instead, the antenna turned toward a region of the sky that astronomers considered empty. No stars. No nebulae. No galaxies. Only darkness. Moments later, something in that darkness answered. What followed defied engineering logic, physics, and everything NASA thought it knew. The spacecraft showed a physical rotation with no mechanical cause, telemetry that wasn't corrupted, but structured, a faint musical note hidden inside its transmission, and then 12 hours of complete silence, a blackout unlike anything in the mission's history. A machine that refused to die. Voyager 1 was launched in 1977. Its expected lifetime, 5 years. With less computing power than a digital watch and a nuclear battery meant only to endure a single mission, it was supposed to photograph Jupiter and Saturn, deliver the golden record, and fade into the dark. But it didn't fade. It pushed past Uranus. Past Neptune. Past the orbit of Pluto. Until finally, in 2012, it crossed the heliopause, the invisible boundary where the sun's protection ends and raw interstellar space begins. From then on, Voyager wasn't just a spacecraft. It became a witness to eternity. The first anomalies. For years after entering interstellar space, its signals came through regularly, weak but dependable. Then, in early 2023, something subtle shifted. Telemetry wasn't noisy or damaged. It was rearranged, as if rewritten with intention. Engineers noticed internal clocks falling out of sync, navigation records disappearing, emergency routines activating without cause, and patterns embedded in the data that didn't match cosmic radiation or system errors. This wasn't a machine failing. It was a machine reacting. To what? No one could say. The null zone. NASA's tracking confirmed the unthinkable. Voyager had reoriented itself toward a mathematically predicted region known only in theory, a null zone, where gravitational forces cancel one another perfectly. No spacecraft, especially one designed in the 1970s, should have been able to detect such a place. Yet Voyager locked onto it as if drawing closer to something that had been waiting there. The hum. Shortly after the reorientation, Voyager's plasma wave instrument detected a perfect tone at 3000 Hz. It wasn't static. It wasn't noise. It was music in mathematical form, harmonic intervals, repeating cycles, mirrored pulses. Deep within that tone were prime numbers, recursive sequences, fractal echoes, patterns. Intention. Design. No other probe picked up anything. The signal was for Voyager alone. Then, the spacecraft went silent. The 12-hour night. For the first time in its 46-year journey, Voyager 1 disappeared. No telemetry. No heartbeats. No carrier wave. Engineers prepared for the worst. The probe had survived everything: cosmic dust, radiation storms, decades of decay. But this silence felt different. purposeful return, and then, just as suddenly, the silence broke. Voyager 1's signal returned. Clearer. Stronger. Sharper than anything engineers had received in decades. It was no longer the familiar, faint hum of a distant machine. There was a new presence in the data, a precision that suggested something had shifted inside the probe itself. The spacecraft had changed, not mechanically, not digitally, but in a way that seemed intentional. The reset Voyager's internal clock had done the impossible. It hadn't simply drifted. It hadn't recalibrated itself. It had reset entirely, as though time inside the probe had paused, condensed, and restarted in a place beyond understanding. Along with the clock, new data structures appeared in its telemetry. Formats that no onboard system could generate. Patterns that were mathematical, deliberate, impossibly perfect. When European astrophysicists compared Voyager's new orientation with deep sky survey maps, they found something that left even the most seasoned scientists speechless. The probe's rotation aligned almost perfectly with a faint, long-forgotten silhouette embedded in the cosmic microwave background, the ancient light left over from the birth of the universe itself. This shape had existed long before humans first dreamed of exploring space, long before the sun even shone. It was as if the cosmos had been waiting, and Voyager had finally arrived. The second tone weeks after the reset, a new phenomenon appeared in the probe's telemetry. A tone, piercing, unwavering, at 30,000 Hz. It was immaculate. Untouched by cosmic interference. And when scientists translated it into a visual representation of sound, it revealed something astonishing. Symmetrical bars repeating stanzas, rhythmic pauses that seemed deliberate, a cadence that ended with precision. Not randomly, it was composition, not noise. Not a mechanical artifact, not a glitch in the electronics. Beneath this melodic layer, deeper patterns emerged, encoded constants of the universe. The gravitational constant, the fine structure constant, the rate of cosmic expansion, all presented with a precision no human instrument aboard Voyager could achieve. Voyager hadn't generated these numbers. It hadn't calculated anything. It had delivered them, as a message. The question, after days of analysis using quantum pattern recognition algorithms, scientists isolated a single, encoded line of text within the harmonics. Not coordinates. Not equations. Not instructions. Are you ready to listen? It was not a command. Not a signal to Earth. It was a question, delivered through Voyager, as if the spacecraft were a bridge between humanity and something far older, far greater. The echo in the dark. Astronomers turned their telescopes toward the patch of sky Voyager had chosen. At first, nothing. Then, slowly, faint and shimmering, a subtle oscillation appeared. A glow, barely detectable, synchronized with the rhythms of the sun itself. Every solar flare caused it to pulse in reply, measured and precise. Not a reflection. Not gas. Not a distant star. It was a response. A conscious acknowledgement of observation. With each passing day, the pattern became more deliberate. As though whatever existed there was aware of being watched, and was willing to answer, but only if approached with patience and attention. The realization scientists began to grasp the magnitude of what they were witnessing. Voyager had not intercepted a pre-existing signal. It had triggered one. The probe, tiny and ancient, had crossed a boundary, a threshold, a sensor, or perhaps an intelligence that does not communicate across the void, but waits for someone to notice it. The 12-hour blackout, once feared to be failure, was now understood as calibration. An attunement between machine and the unseen entity beyond comprehension. And the tones, the harmonics, the perfectly mathematical structures, they were not alien language. They were a form of awareness, a proof of attention, of existence, and of recognition. The impact on humanity. For nearly 50 years, Voyager had traveled outward, lonely and unheralded. Its purpose, as humanity envisioned, was simple: observe, record, and transmit. It was never designed to find life. It was never meant to open doors. Yet, it may have done both. The static became song. What looked like error became invitation. Silence transformed into a voice. And that voice, more than any discovery, forced humans to reconsider their place in the cosmos. The question that remains perhaps the most profound revelation is not whether humanity is alone. Perhaps the greater question is, are we prepared to truly listen? To perceive the universe not as an empty void, but as a network of hidden responses? To recognize that intelligence, awareness, or phenomena far beyond our comprehension might exist silently, waiting for someone, anything, to pay attention. Voyager 1, a small machine with a golden record, has reminded us of something essential. The act of seeking, of observing, of being present, may be the very signal that awakens a response. And somewhere, out there in the endless dark, the cosmos may be listening back.